This is News 10 at 6.
The problem with graffiti is that it creates an attitude, and it conveys an attitude that crime generally is acceptable.
Midtown business owners say enough is enough now after taggers caused thousands of dollars in damage.
And the crackdown leads to an arrest. Thanks for joining us here at the 6 o'clock hour. Christina has the night off. I'm Jennifer Smith.
And I'm Alan Frio. And one community activist calling graffiti domestic terrorism. Taggers are hitting Midtown Sacramento with a wave of vandalism that's out of control right now. And News 10's Deborah Pacina joining us live with a story including a grassroots effort now to fight that problem. Deb?
That's right, Alan. We are live at 18th and J Street, where earlier this week the man responsible for that vandalism was placed under citizen's arrest until police arrived. Leon Willis was arrested on 18 counts, but today at his arraignment only charged with 2 of those counts. And neighborhood activists say other taggers are getting away.
It's a question of picking every window and doing damage to each piece of glass.
In the center of Midtown, a monument to the destructive power of taggers. 25 panels of glass etched with graffiti, $12,000 worth of damage. Their names are HOG, XS for Extreme Crew, and DTV for Downtown Vandals.
This is it.
At L&K Coin-Op, Jean Mitchell says vandalism is on the rise. She wants authorities to get tough on juvenile offenders and their parents.
Find the parents? Oh, absolutely. If you have to put them in jail, let them realize that you have to be responsible for your children.
Steve Eggert bought this building 4 months ago, and he's spending big bucks to clean up after taggers.
It's going to run $3,000 a year if it's not stopped. What bothers me is that if people tolerate it, it'll continue to happen.
4 juveniles spray painted the location at 1815 I Street.
A Citizens Community Watch group is now documenting police calls on home video, taking still photos as evidence, and tracking the cost of graffiti.
We can document in excess of $100,000 on the Extreme Crew alone. This, by the way, is our database.
An all-volunteer graffiti task force is now working with the city and business owners, tracking the problem, developing a network of support.
One of the things that's made a big difference is this community watch group. I mean, it's fantastic, and we're very supportive of them.
Volunteers like Dave Jenest and his network of supporters helped catch the man responsible for this work, but say others remain at large. And if you would like to support the effort to end graffiti, you can contact the Citizens Community Watch. Their graffiti task force hotline number is 448-4169, and they have an internet address. It is watchdog@pacbell.net. The group wants serial taggers prosecuted as felons, and they also want adults to take responsibility for their children who are caught as taggers. And you know, Alan, this isn't just a business problem. According to the city, there was about $1,600 worth of damage from this particular tagger. He hit about 65 buildings over the past couple weeks.
Oh my, that's a lot of damage. So you say civilians essentially were responsible for catching the taggers, responsible for all of that graffiti behind you.
They have a very strong neighborhood watch group here. It's really a model for the rest of the county.
One of Sacramento's biggest graffiti vandals is behind bars tonight. Police are saying he has vandalized hundreds of properties in the Midtown area at a cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars in cleanup costs. He's now facing a possible 5 years in prison.
Understanding that the court...
A smirking Leon David Willis sauntered into Superior Court in Sacramento. The prolific tagger seems unshaken by the 6 counts of felony vandalism and the possibility of prison. Like many others across the country, police say taggers like Willis thrive on the attention, especially the recognition they get from other taggers.
It's all about being famous.
Officer Lori LaGrassa works on the Sacramento Police Department's Graffiti Task Force.
The bottom line is that there's a big culture that's behind it, you know, kind of a social network, but that's the main purpose, is to become famous for your name.
That notoriety got Willis taken off the street last April because of this man.
See, there's some more tagging there. Good.
Community Watch activist David Jenest.
The felony case that Mr. Willis was charged with and prosecuted for and pled guilty to is sending a very important message to would-be juvenile taggers who will be adults in the next 2 months.
Willis, proud of his work, later bragged to police from his jail cell about 48 other properties he vandalized. They say he is responsible for hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage. He's now looking at a stiff probation, and if he does it again...
And if he violates any of those guidelines, then he'll be looking at 5 years of state prison.
It's not only walls and buildings that are being vandalized. Officials say that glass graffiti and etching is a growing problem. The cleanup that costs the community more than $1 million a year.
Graffiti cleanup in Sacramento County alone costs taxpayers about $1 million a year, and that's not counting the cost to business owners. So now police are cracking down on suspected offenders with a graffiti sweep. And News 10's Mark Hedlund reports live now from Midtown Sacramento. Mark?
Jennifer, right here is an example of the problem. It's a blank business wall that in the middle of the night is taken over as a canvas for graffiti. It is only a misdemeanor crime, but it's very expensive to clean up, and it's very ugly to the eye. The message being sent in Sacramento today, it is now going to be treated as a serious crime.
Call them vandals instead of taggers. Call them criminals instead of artists, because that's what they are.
After the sweep, city and county officials vow a hard line.
That if we allow it to continue, it really has the ability to destroy neighborhoods and businesses.
Police and prosecutors say they will continue with hard investigation of the graffiti vandals, and they say that this is one of those misdemeanor crimes that they're going to be looking for maximum penalties on. They want the people who are involved in this vandalism to pay the price to help clean this up and do jail time or time in juvenile hall if that's what it takes to stop it. Business leaders say they're very pleased that this is a big morale boost for a problem that's plagued the downtown and midtown in Sacramento, and in fact the entire city and county for an awful long time. That's it from here. Now back to you.
Well, let's hope it doesn't act as a new challenge for the taggers, though.
Some say more tips from the public could have helped police locate fugitive Carlos Ramirez sooner. In Sacramento, crime tips are streaming in every day thanks to a high-tech community watch program. It's all happening in Sacramento's Midtown, and that's where News 10's Cornell Bernard is live now with more. Cornell?
Sharon, it's called quite simply Citizens Community Watch, and what it has done is empowered citizens while taking a zero-tolerance stance on crime. Crimes like graffiti tagging. That's something you see quite a lot of here in the Midtown area. But by documenting these things over and over again, arrests have actually been made, and that's something police simply don't have enough time to do. Now, this small apartment in the Midtown Sacramento area is actually the command center for Citizens Community Watch. It's a small group of concerned volunteers who are making a difference in reducing crime, thanks mostly to the information superhighway. Tips by email and by phone and fax are helping to curb burglaries, graffiti taggers, and drug transactions. The tips are then passed along and confirmed by police. The net is giving many a chance to get involved without giving their name.
Once that information starts popping its head up, it tells us, yeah, we're confirming our suspicions that there's a problem there because someone has picked up the phone and called or left an email saying, hey, we got a dope dealer losing the apartment at such and such.
Now get this, in the past 3 years, the efforts of Community Watch has resulted, they say, in the prosecution of more than 100 cases. The group has the approval of city leaders, but not the funding. Most of that comes from private donations, including some local companies. And the group, we are told, is always looking for volunteers. And they are also getting phone calls from a lot of cities around the state and around the country looking to copy what Citizens Watch is doing right here in Sacramento, where we are live. I'm Cornell Bernard.
Didn't turn you around, and now you're in my court, this far away from a state prison sentence.
That was a Sacramento judge putting convicted tagger Leon Willis in jail for several months back in 1997. The judge suspended a 5-year state prison term and ordered Willis to pay restitution of $12,000 and to leave Sacramento. What's happened to Willis, who once bragged of defacing 48 individual properties? He was also believed responsible for countless other taggings, using the name Hog, which police say caused an estimated $100,000 in damage. He's now back in court with his second probation violation, this time moving without notifying officials and of being picked up in Nevada County with all kinds of tagging paraphernalia. Judge Jane Ure revoked probation and ordered him held without bail. Policewoman Lori LaGrassa says in 2 years he's only made restitution of a couple of $100.
I think a little bit of both would help. He could do some time and then get back and start working again and pay off some of his debts.
In 1997, Willis offered this reporter a brief glance into how he thinks. For example, why deface public or private property? Listen in.
But it's not none of these people's property anyways. The Lord owns the earth, and the building's only a building. It'll be gone soon.
But what gives you the right to do that? That's
what gives you the right to build your buildings.
Willis is now 26 years old, but unless he promises to change, he could wind up in state prison. This man helped capture Leon the first time around.
If he doesn't live up to the terms of probation, state prison is where all of us want him to go, and any of his friends.